Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Mastery of Money. I am Adam Carroll. This is
Nick Durr,
and my man, Dimitry Neyshtadt.
That's right.
We will do an introduction here of him in just a second. He is the 90-Day Money Pro. You're going to love what he has to say. He's going to be a featured article contributor and a frequent guest on the podcast, on the episode on YouTube. So stick with us. Today we're going to talk about and answer the question, can you learn entrepreneurship? This is one that's been posed a number of times to us by, a lot of times, young people, students, recent graduates, who are wanting to break off and do their own thing, but they're just trying to figure out, how do I learn this stuff? So for starters, Dimitry, you're the 90-Day Money Pro.
Yes.
You help people do what with their money?
I help them make smarter money decisions and really making them in the right order.
I love this. So in the right order is critical in your value proposition. For what reason? You've seen people do this in the wrong order, obviously.
That's right. I mean, just think about it, right? How many times can we make progress on our goals and then something unexpected happens and we get knocked backwards, sometimes even back further than where we started in the first place? So instead of making financial progress, with big leaps and bounds that potentially could get taken away from you, let's make sure that we make those step by step and that you never get pushed backwards.
Love it. So today we're talking about entrepreneurship. Can you learn entrepreneurship? What is your thought, Nick? Can you?
Yes, I definitely believe you can learn entrepreneurship. It's, if you kind of take a step back and ask yourself, can people teach entrepreneurship? If I look at my life, I was never taught entrepreneurship. So in essence, I had to learn entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur. And there's so many different resources out there that I'm sure you can touch on. But, for me, the way that I learned entrepreneurship, I would consider myself an entrepreneur for the past 3 years. Prior to that, I was a traditional W-2 working for an employer. So in the past 3 years, the way that I learned entrepreneurship really was by trying things and failing a lot. That's how I learned entrepreneurship.
Yeah, trying and failing is a big component of this. I think learning entrepreneurship requires that you understand there is a difference between taking a calculated risk and being risky.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, one of the hardest lessons I've learned is being able to quantify and calculate what is the risk I'm taking and will the reward be worth it, or am I just being risky? So as an example, in the investment world, some people will say, oh, I put all my money in Bitcoin, as an example, or I poured all my money into this future, or I'm trading commodities or options, and they don't really know what they're doing. That, in my mind, is risky. But you can take a calculated risk by learning all of the steps ahead of time, going to school, working with mentors, figuring out everything you need to know to succeed at something. That is then a calculated risk. And entrepreneurship is no different. There are mentors, there are books, there are podcasts and resources that you can go learn from that will allow you to go out and take the first entrepreneurial step. What's your take on it, Dimitry? Because I know you have an interesting take on entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I totally agree and echo what you guys are saying. It's absolutely true that entrepreneurship can be learned, it can be taught, and you guys have outlined some great ways to do that. Nick, it's funny, you mentioned where you were and how many years now you feel like you've been an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think in a similar way, I look at really just these past few years of really being able to confidently label myself an entrepreneur. Whereas for 10 years, I was really more of a business owner. And I think that as I was working more and more in my career as a financial advisor, working with clients one-on-one, I had that practice of sitting one-on-one with clients in my office, and there wasn't too much creativity. There wasn't too much kind of outbound marketing or using digital media or doing these things to really grow, expand, and scale that I think so many entrepreneurs find an appeal in. And so I feel like I was able to make that shift from being a business owner, who says, hey, I'm jumping off the cliff with a parachute, to being the entrepreneur who can jump off the cliff confident that they can put together that parachute on the way down.
Building it on the way down.
And I think it's a very powerful skill to definitely learn and practice, like you guys have mentioned. But let's be honest, I think it would be foolish to say that entrepreneurship is for everyone. It definitely appeals to a lot of people. There's nothing wrong with trying it out and putting your energy and your passion and your time into it. But I think you've also got to be honest with yourself and really be okay to feedback, trial and error. And if after a little while you're not quite feeling it, it's not working right for you, things aren't meshing, it's not failure. It's not, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just, look, maybe there's a different place for your passion and your skill set to go to work optimally for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There's so many statistics out there about 1 million small businesses will start per year, roughly in the United States. And 80% of them will go out of business in the first year. And 80% of the remaining 20% will go out of business in the next 5 years.
Wow.
So the success rate for most small business entrepreneurs is actually relatively small, but there are ways to, again, there are ways to calculate that risk, and then there are some of those that are just being risky.
Yeah.
The key is really learning. So Nick, go through some of the resources that are out there.
Yeah, so the number one resource I would say is life experience. So I remember there was one quote in particular around entrepreneurship, and the story is around, in order to take the island, you need to burn the ships. That was something that I had heard before, and I understood conceptually, but it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur where it was like, no, you need to burn the ships to take the island, where I was like, oh, this is what it takes. And it's something that I wouldn't have been able to actually get otherwise. So in terms of the resources, one was just by, another entrepreneur or coach.
Right.
So a mentor of mine who is able to share from their experience what entrepreneurship is actually like. And then of course I have to go out and do it on my own, right?
Yes.
There's a couple of podcasts, articles, one thing for entrepreneurship for me, because at least for the work that we do, the amount of time you put in doesn't always translate to revenue generated.
Right.
So I've always been interested in efficiency, productivity, and effectiveness. So for me, Tim Ferriss was someone that was huge and instrumental in my growth and passion towards entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Cool.
What about you?
Well, two things come to mind for me. Number one, there's a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And Michael Gerber it's one of the best-selling small business books of all time. And he basically says that the entrepreneurial myth in America is that most small businesses are started by entrepreneurs, when in reality they're started by technicians who suffer from an entrepreneurial seizure. So it's someone who knows how to do something really well that one day wakes up and says, screw it, I'm going to go do this on my own because I can roof better than this guy or cut hair better than this gal. And so they go start a business doing that technical thing, but they don't know how to run the business of doing the technical thing.
Right.
So my suggestion is this: for whether young or old, if you want to try your hand at being an entrepreneur, do a very simple exercise. We've talked about this on the show before. And in fact, Gary Vee has done this on his show a number of times. Go garage sailing, pick up an item, clean it, take a good picture of it, write a flowery description of it, and sell it for 2 or 3 times what you've paid for it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. And if you've done that, boom, you're an entrepreneur. At least the very beginning phases of it. And what you will learn in the process is you'll learn marketing and deal making and how to create a profit, sales, right? Customer service. All of these things are components of being an entrepreneur. These are some of the things that you want to learn. Comments on that?
Yeah, I love it. I think for those who haven't seen Gary Vee or listened to him speak, he's a great person to really dig deeper into. And I think if anything, I'm sure we would all agree, there's a certain amount of energy. There's a certain fire that's lit under the butt of an entrepreneur that stays lit. And it's because of that passion that they're able to really go forward and overcome those obstacles and the challenges and the failures and hiccups along the way. I think that resiliency is something that folks really need to digest and absorb and let that really sink in.
Yeah, I love it. You want to talk about zero-based budgeting?
Yeah. So, to answer your question, can you learn entrepreneurship? The answer is absolutely yes, right? From the three of us here, we all share our personal experiences. One part that, I wish I definitely had tackled sooner was really the financial cash flow aspect to entrepreneurship, right? Knowing that things might take time to ramp up in terms of income generation. So the tool that we have that you can find on masteryofmoney.com is the zero-based budget template, which if you use correctly can actually forecast what you're expected to generate and also what your expected expenses are in running a business, like marketing, like advertising, like sales training, or investing in equipment, whatever the case is. But this tool will allow you to at least get ahead on what it would look like to start a business, to step into entrepreneurship, and it will give you a lot of clarity in terms of what the actual numbers are.
Awesome. So in wrapping this up, do us a favor, share this video or this audio with someone that you know that is pursuing the entrepreneurship path. That's a tongue twister. And leave a comment down below on our YouTube channel or send us questions at masteryofmoney.com. We will get them answered. We want to know, what businesses do you want to start and how can we help? Thanks for tuning in.